Also, I'm going to share my screen for this live stream, guys. But feel free to, like, if it full screens for you on immediately, just feel free to take it off full screen. It'll just be playing for a background once the film's done. Just letting you know. Countdown's on. Here we go. Minute 45. Okay. Hello. Anybody out there watching this film? Let's give it up for Gunner Willis, the writer-director. I'm just going to get right into it. I'm Ryan Pauly. I am one of the executive producers and editors on this film. And also one of the co-founders of Bonus Features, the production company behind it. Gunner Willis, my friend, writer-director of this film. This was awesome, my friend. This is so fun watching it with everybody.
Yeah, man, I had a blast. I'm glad it's out so people can see it. It's been a long time coming for sure. So
love it. Also with us, we have some awesome producers on the film, Mr. Andrew Eagle and Chip White.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey guys, we're just going to keep going down. We've got the stars of the film, Miss Mary Emily Deal, Mr. Derek Evans, and Mr. Tom Clark.
What's up?
Hi.
Gunner, that was awesome.
thanks.
I love it.
Awesome.
This is some of our cast and crew. It's the first time seeing the movie, so very fun. And then we also have joining us Mr. DP himself, Andrew Bradford.
Be here.
The composer in the film, Eric Nordgren.
Woo!
Woo!
Hi guys.
And also the one of the other executive producers, Mr. Grant Wakefield.
Hi everyone.
Love it. We've got the gallery view up, so everybody can see your wonderful faces. I'm just gonna start getting into questions. Feel free, if you're watching this live on YouTube, put some questions if you got them in the chat, and we'll get to those. Already, Drew Davidson said, "Is Derek on date night or something?" Yes.
Yeah. Yes, but the best date of all is Gunner Willis and his movie. Watching the premiere was a key point of our date night, wasn't it, babe? It was dinner and a show. Dinner and a show.
Love it. Okay, well, I'm gonna start asking some questions. Like I said, guys, feel free to put them in the chat, and we'll try to get to those. First question, it's gonna be for Gunner, writer director. So this was a long, arduous process getting here. It's been years in the making. I'd love to hear a little bit about how we got here and the process of making the movie. I'm sure this could be a very long answer, but maybe try to sum up.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out the shortest way to say it. So this is a 2.5-year journey, if not longer. But I met with Weekend Video, Bonus Features, to help me submit wages to the South Carolina Indie Grants program, and I wanted them to produce it. And we got accepted from there. Well, COVID happened, and that definitely put a wrench into our plans. Man, singling out the hardest thing. This was the hardest film I've ever made, just from regular hard movie problems, and then also outside world problems. But I will say, by the time we got to set, it was the best experience, and it was worth all of the mountain climbing. So yeah, maybe one day it'll be a memoir, all of the little details of the mountains we had to climb. But there were many times where this movie almost didn't happen, even up to Andy, Chip, was it like 3 days before where we were like, I don't know if we can make the movie. It was close, but yeah, man, really glad we can watch it tonight finished. So
love it. And then this is the question, before we get to everybody else, the question that you always hear at film festival Q&As. Someone in the audience has to ask what the main inspiration behind the film was. Gunner, you've done a lot of shorts, a lot of different styles. This kind of felt like a departure to me from some of the stuff you've done in the past, which is usually really quirky and weird and has a lot of heart. But this obviously was like a black and white, almost a Western, but also almost sort of a sci-fi
Mhm.
horror kind of thing, but it
Yeah.
has a very unique tone. What was the inspiration behind the film?
Well, the two things a lot of the notes that I get back from my previous films is that I keep hearing the word sweet. They're really sweet. And I don't think it's said in a very nice way. I think they mean it like I don't know, but that was the goal, was to not make a sweet movie. But specifically writing this one, I was very inspired by the Twilight Zone, and actually it was part of a couple of scripts that I wrote that all fit within a set of rules. And I was actually going to do a like an anthology called Yards, where it's
Oh
all
yeah, yeah.
these stories took place in one place. And then I realized that the only story I liked was this one, so I went back to it, and I mean, there had to have been probably 14 drafts of this this script by the time we shot it. But I think the main inspiration, probably from like a other film perspective, was Coen Brothers and Twilight Zone for sure.
Mhm.
Um,
I think you can feel that.
I hope so. But yeah, no, that honestly, that was. I mean, every inspiration for me is I have to make another movie, and then I just draw from the things I love. And this, I really like making sweet movies, but this skewed a little bit more towards a lot of the movies that I like to watch. So
Love that. Love that. Okay, question for the stars of the picture, Mary Emily, Derek, and Tom. What drew you to the roles of Martha and Father Ewan? Of course, our villainous Tom. I love the mustache twirling villain that you played, Tom. So tell me what drew you to those parts, other than just working, with this incredible crew that we have here. Maybe Mary Emily, if you want to start.
Well, interestingly, I had one of those rare experiences when I actually got the audition, and that was, I know her. Like, I'm supposed to play her. Like, and it's one of those odd things that unfortunately doesn't happen very often. But I was just like connected to the material and the character. I just felt related to that. And so immediately I almost knew I was going to get cast in this part, just because I was like, I know I have to play this. This just feels connected to me. So I don't know. That was my experience.
Love that. What about you, Tom?
Originally, I thought my audition was for Dodgeball 2 Underdog Story with Vince Vaughn. So I was totally surprised to see that this guy, what's his name again? Gunner was running the show. And no, honestly, I'm normally like guy next door. I would play a priest before I would play. So to play a bad guy, like this would get sent to hell. It was like, thank you, Jesus. And I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Thank you, Jesus, for sending you to hell.
Thank you. Yeah, it's kind of strange. But Gunner was so cool on set. I mean, he would get right into me and go, okay, you really, I really want you to, okay, I want you to scream. He was so good at, walking us through scenes. I just loved it. I mean, he was really hands-on and totally enjoyed Emily and Derek. It was fun. And the crew, it was very cool. I'm disappointed that Vince Vaughn wasn't there, but
Love it. And finally, Derek, Mr. Date Man over here.
Yeah, when I first read the breakdown for it, I saw the words Twilight Zone, and I was like, oh God, I gotta be a part of this. That's my #1 all-time favorite show. Original Twilight Zone, 1950s to 60s. I've seen every single episode more than 5 times, and each. And I think that when I first saw that it was for the role of a preacher, I was like, fudge, I'm not gonna be cast as this. I'm way too young. And so I was like, all right, well, just bring yourself as if you were this, young priest to the role, and I did it, and the script was very funny, sharp and witty, and had a lot of fun auditioning for it, and Eventually, when they had first called me back, I was like, oh, great, this is going to happen. And then one of those moments where it wasn't going to happen happened, and they pushed it. And I was like, oh, no. But I was super stoked to be a part of it when it finally went down, to meet everybody else that was cast in it. And Gunner is a tyrant. Don't let anybody fool you. The man is no joke. He is a danger to society. And everybody needs, I couldn't keep a straight face. Okay, Gunner's a sweetheart. And working with a man is really something special. And if you're an actor in general, you should want to work with him at some point.
Agreed. I think we can all agree with that, Derek. Also, Gunner, feel free to unmute yourself. React to your castmates showing you the love.
I am reacting. But I tend to talk and laugh really loud. I don't want to take anyone's.
You don't want to take the spotlight.
Well, I'll unmute when I have something special to say. But I love all of you. I appreciate all the kind words.
Love it.
I'm going to pay you back for that.
Also, Gunner, you want to shout out another star of the film that's in the chat here?
Yes, Isaiah. He was the lead Erie kid in the side group. One throw on the dodgeball, the church door. He was incredible. Everyone say hi to Isaiah.
Isaiah.
I love all of the kid actors that you casted, Gunner, were excellent. I loved it. And I loved seeing their glowing eyes and their terrifying voices.
I'm excited to see how they thought, because that's the first time they saw it too. So I'm excited to see how they like their new look. So.
Love it. Well, I'm going to go to Chip and Andrew. First, we've got a question from Brandon Reardon, who asked what was the biggest hurdle you overcame during production. But along with that, I would just love to hear how you got involved with the project and what drew you to the script and producing a Gunner Willis production.
Andrew, you go first.
Sure, yeah. So Gunner actually brought the script to my attention, I think it was in Beaufort, South Carolina, for a film festival. And it was a bunch of actors. We were in a room reading it, and I thought, this is a really fun script. It reminds me of Twilight Zone. You should absolutely produce this. And, he ended up getting the South Carolina Indie Grants money, which was incredible. And then when we finally got a chance to make it, the pandemic hit, so it pushed it back. And then we finally actually had a chance to do it. But we sort of, I think it was November 1st or something. And Gunner gives me a call and he's like, hey man, tell me if this is a crazy idea. What do you think about shooting Wages in December? And I was like, well, that's only a few weeks away, but I think if we pull to, a good team together, we can probably get this done. And luckily we had incredible producers on it. We found an incredible first AD. We obviously had Andrew Bradford already, signed up for it, and most of our cast was quickly found from our casting director, Matt Sefik, incredible guy. But yeah, so many hurdles on set. We were putting out tiny little fires left and right, trying to get the equipment to set. It was left and right for us, dodging bullets. And Chip, of course, brought us back from the brink of death more times than one. But, for me, in terms of wanting to make this, again, I've worked with Gunner both as an actor, as a producer, and his work is incredible. I think the world deserves Gunner Willis movies, and in any way that I can, bring those about, I want to be a part of it.
Cool. Gunner had mentioned this script to me back on Christmas on the Range. We were working together, and of course, when we did Electric Jesus, seen several of his films. I've worked with Andrew and Andrew, both Andrews. So anything they were going to be involved in, and I'm game with. When I read the script, I was like, this is pretty cool. And then, of course, the location helped a lot. And
did we lose Chip?
No, Magic Man.
Chip is stalled out. Okay, he's back. He's back.
Did I freeze up?
Yeah.
Yeah, frozen up. Yeah, that's kind of my life, man. Unstable internet. That's me.
Okay, Mr. Jeff Bridges, continue.
Yeah, I don't know what even the hell I said, man. It's like, be a part of Gunner movie is amazing. Worked with Andrew, and it's been good.
Yeah. Well, that's great. So Brandon asked, what was the biggest hurdle you overcame during production? Chip, what would you say would be the biggest challenge that you guys faced shooting the film over those 3 or 4 days?
Probably wasn't a challenge or anything, but one of the moments was Stephanie, our first AD. She came in from Atlanta, and she had said there may be some issues with her father. And day one, she got a call that she needed to go to Atlanta. That's probably it. Then trying to figure out keeping it going without a first AD. But she was tremendous. She put a lot of her soul into getting us going. And I think Andrew knows a little bit more about it even than I do. So Andrew Bradford.
Yeah, no, Stephanie is super close to my heart, and she was super sacrificing to be able to try to fit this into her schedule. And man, her and Gunner and me probably spent just an unbelievable amount of hours leading up to this, like very last second, just making sure everything fit into place. And then obviously for the bad news to hit was just, heartbreaking for everyone. And I just think that like so much of this film like deserves so much credit to all the hard work that she put in. Even though she did have to leave on like halfway through day 2, it was a tremendous. I'm tremendously grateful for everything that she did, and I think that we owe a lot to her, and I just love her to death. So,
yeah, if you ask anybody that was on that set, they would tell you without hesitation that the movie would not have been made without her. It was her presence was I can't tell you how much I appreciate her being there. She was absolutely lovely and the best AD I've ever worked with. So
I think one of the other things for us, this was probably one of the first sets most of us had gotten back onto during COVID, because of COVID. So kind of, I don't know, it was for me. So trying to get that, keep a groove going and dealing with what was the new normal at the time was a little challenging for me.
Definitely.
Personally.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like it'll be immortalized, seeing photos on set of everybody wearing masks for the past few years. It's like such an interesting time, and I feel like in our lives that will I'm sure just getting back on set in 2020 and shooting that was just an interesting experience. Bradford, I would love to hear from you. Maybe Gunner chime in as well, talking about the look of the film and shooting a black and white sort of classical Hollywood kind of movie. Talk to me a little bit about how you landed on that look, and did you enjoy it? Would you want to do it again? Just how'd you like it?
I think if Gunner doesn't mind me saying, I think Gunner and I push each other constantly, and that we both are so opposite in so much of what we do that I think we find really great middle ground in how we do everything together. And even up to this, I can't even remember how short it was before this, but like we went out there and we essentially, me, him, his girlfriend, and Justin went out and literally acted out the whole film, and we storyboarded the whole thing right there in one morning, and then came back to it, and we pretty much stuck right to that. But we kind of found this fun little look that we liked, and just decided to try to tackle it as true to Twilight Zone and Coen Brothers aesthetic as possible. And thankfully we just had a lot of good crew come behind us, and I think we were doing something crazy like 33, 34 setups a day. So it was quite a few setups to try to rattle off there in the short span that we had.
No, yeah, it was absolutely insane how it was the most amount of prep I've ever had the chance to use for a film, but it never feels like you have enough time. We're always rushing, but I'm really proud of what we did achieve with that small amount of time. We were only there for 3 days,
and half of the day got rained out too.
Yeah.
So essentially 2.5 days of shooting.
Yeah. but to answer the second half of the question, would I do it again? Yeah. I really enjoyed the black and white, but specifically really pushing that classic movie feel. I think I'd probably even push it farther. I know that
Must go deeper.
yes. No, I really loved working in that place, but also Bradford doing such an amazing job. Like you said, we come from so very different tastes when it comes to movies, that where we meet is such a wonderfully unexpected place for both of us, that we really that's why I always will work with Bradford. I love how we can only create what you saw together. I can never do what I did without him. But I also I want to shout out John Carrington for even pushing that old school feel even farther in the coloring and the just his magic was definitely really felt there. Really, really great job from everybody. I'm just going to spend the next hour patting everyone on the back. Is that cool?
That's more than cool, Gunner. I love it. And I'm sure the rest of the cast and crew loves it too. Speaking of the rest of the cast crew, Eric, let's talk about the music. I know, Gunner, you will have a lot to say about the music as well.
Yes.
It's awesome. I love how sort of old school this is. For some, like the first time I heard the music, because of course I'm editing this movie with no music, and I have something in my mind, and then Gunner shows me the first cut with your music, and it was so different than what I was expecting, but it felt so right at the same time. Talk to me about how you guys landed on that sort of fun, lighthearted, sort of orchestral sound for a sort of a darker tone.
Yeah. Man, where to start? I mean, I guess I should say that so Gunnar and I have been talking about Wages probably since we did Crime Time, honestly. And which if you haven't seen, since Andrew Eagle's in here, I'm going to plug it until the day that I pass out from lack of oxygen in my lungs. But we started talking about Wages a long time ago. And even then I was kind of just starting to think about how is this going to sound? What do I want to pull from? And then when Gunnar first showed me test footage and a couple of the first scenes, he tempted with Vertigo, which was a nightmare for me because I was like, oh, I can't outdo Bernard, dude. I don't know what you want from me. But we and Gunnar is this is probably the third film I've done with Gunnar, and I never ever get sick of working with him because he constantly pushes me into different areas with music that I write. And especially on this one, this was definitely the most not out there, but most involved and exciting writing a score has been for me. And early on in the process, I was sending over some different example cues and things like that. Does this work? Does this work? And so Gunnar did this great thing where he had me write it as if the movie is just a noir, and then write it as if the movie is just a Western. And then I was giving him all these different genres, and he was like, okay, so now that we're doing the actual movie, think about this switch in your head, and I want you to just keep flipping between noir and Western all the time. And that was really, really helpful for kind of just figuring out how the film was going to sound from my end. But to come around to the sort of lightheartedness in a very dark feeling film, from my perspective, I was really looking for something that could kind of anchor it all together and make it feel like this fable, like this folktale that you would hear. And for me, the thing that finally clicked was using a bunch of mandolins. So a lot of all of that little twangy stuff is all these different mandolins coming from all these different angles. And
I'm just going to real quick.
Yeah.
Because I remember when you had that breakthrough and you sent me a little taste. You said, "Hey, I want to know what you think, but I'm doing this." It was the only time you sent me ever, the whole 3 movies you've ever made with me. It was like, "Hey, I want to know your thoughts, but that this has happened."
That is, I won't lie, that is what I did. And Gunnar and I did fight and when I say fight, I mean Gunnar and I were like, does this work? No. Are you sure? Yes. And then it was like, that's like the extent of our fighting creatively. But I did push for mandolins during the judgment scene before the final stuff, because originally we were cutting that way down with music, and there was almost nothing there. And I told Gunnar, I was like, there needs to be something there that feels like we're still in this movie. And looking at the rest of the stuff, it was always with these mandolins and these little like tremolo chord changes happening in them. And so Gunnar was like, this sounds too Italian. And then I think like 3 days later, he was like, okay, never mind, you were right, it works. And then we left it in the movie.
Italian is just right.
I remember
Yeah, it was very.
I was like, hey, you remember that time I told you that didn't work? I lied. Go back. I'm sorry.
Pedro Martinez in the chat. I want to see if you guys can answer this. For the music composer, I appreciate the accompanying score that helped guide this story of perceived absolutism with death and reality and the moral implications of our actions. Thoughts?
Oh yeah, that's juicy. Thank you, Pedro. Where do I even want to start with this? I mean, like, yeah, like the.
I love how deep that question is, and it just came off of. I really like mandolins, so I added mandolins.
I mean, I for one, I do like mandolins a lot. I might have overdid it a little bit, but at the same time, I love questions like this that kind of go like deeper than the technical stuff, because there's so much involved when you're scoring a movie. That you just do inside of your brain all day, like without touching an instrument or without even looking at the movie. And the big thing that jumped out at me when I was first starting to write for this was this exact idea of the moral implications between all the different actions of each character in the film. And that's why so much of the film kind of relies on just this mandolin thing, is because the mandolins kind of jump between like that super background sort of like strumming, pulsing kind of thing, and a very melodic thing. Like the main theme in the overture of the film is played on the mandolin with a couple of like background mandolins. And like that, from a musical perspective, that was kind of the thread that tied the whole thing together. But that particular instrument was also a very significant piece of sort of pressing a little bit harder on the morality of the situation. And so my goal, at least if it worked or not, was that when you hear this kind of like, when you hear like the strumming mandolins and you hear this sort of kind of like what's going on sort of mysterious music, you're really kind of getting into the characters' heads, and you're really thinking about what they want to do in the moment versus what they need to do, what they like their past actions versus what they're going to do in the future. And I think that does come out more and more the more times that I've seen the film. But yeah, like there's so much going on with just a look, which also is a huge, unimaginably large shout out to Mary Emily and to Tom and Derek, and like how much they communicate just kind of looking at each other. Because that made my job very easy, because I can just back off and let you guys do the heavy lifting. But at the same time, there's so much going on in all the characters' heads that it became very, very important to be super delicate with the music. Gunnar, I don't know if you want to share a bit about like how we kind of arrived on the tone like that, or more of that moral stuff.
No. Honestly, what you said was right on, man. And I think I know a lot of our conversations, partly because it's how I like to direct, but partly because I don't know anything about music. It doesn't come from a technical place. It comes from a hey, this is what I'm thinking what the movie's about. How can we strengthen that? And I knew that I think jumping off what you said, kind of tying a lot of these things to what the characters going on in their heads, and that moral kind of choice of what you said of what they want to do and what they should do, really hit the nail on the head, I think. But honestly, man, I don't want to talk too much, because I don't want to take any credit from you, because you're a genius. Like, dude, you did so good. Every time I show somebody.
When is the soundtrack available on Spotify? That's my question.
It will be.
Nice.
It will
Love
be.
it.
I talked to Gunnar about this other designer. about doing a potential poster, but
Nice.
I'm talking to this designer right now about doing like a cover and just putting out the album for the film, which will be a lot of fun.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna go around now. A classic film festival question. Let's start with Grant because we haven't gotten to you, Grant, Mr. Executive Producer. I would love to hear everyone's favorite sort of memory of working on this film. It could be, working in prep. It could be on set, maybe in post, or just, tell me about your favorite moment working on this film. We can just kind of go around.
Man, that's hard to say.
I know. Sorry to put you on the spot immediately. For the
No,
question
it's all right.
Reminisce.
It's hard to say what my favorite moment would be. Ryan and I didn't have, unfortunately, we weren't able to be on set, which kills us because we obviously love being on set so much. But I think even when Gunner brought the project to us, he originally had contacted us and said, "Hey, I'm going to be in Dallas area. I have this script I've been working on, and I really want to do like a screen or like a table read." So we did a table read and got some people together and read it. I remember just when we did the table read, it just jumped off the page. And I think that's just a sign of a great script. When you read a script and it just comes off the page. And I remember thinking like, it's so weird, but this works. And I don't fully understand it yet, but it just it resonates. And that's what I think it, again, is a sign of, a great film, or, it doesn't have to necessarily, you understand every nuance and get all the symbolism and analogies and metaphors and everything. It just emotionally kind of hits and causes a reaction. So I think that's one of my favorite moments, is just the first time you read the script, and obviously changed and iterated and was refined. But just that the first time I got to experience it, reading the script, and how unique it was. And so it's just constantly, I think, trying to tell Gunner along the way of like, anytime he was second guessing himself of like, should I do this? Should I do this? What should we change here? It was like, just do what is true to Gunner Willis, because that's going to resonate. That's ultimately what resonates in a great filmmaker, is just continue to share your voice and your unique perspective. So that's why I think one of my favorite moments is this whole crazy journey is just the first time I got to experience this story. So yeah, that'd be probably mine.
Who else got a story or a memory of making this film?
Okay, good, Tom. I'm about to start calling people.
Well, I was going to say that it was just kind of weird knowing that I was going to send to hell with dodgeballs. And when it came time for dodgeball scene, let's just say that not everybody was on point except for Gunner's girlfriend, and I'll have to say that probably the shot that you see in the film, the one that hits me square in the puss, that was, thank you, Gunner. You can thank the lovely young lady you were sitting next to. She just hauls off and hits me square right in the chops. And that was actually, I will always remember that moment. Yes, there she is. Thank you. I'm coming for you. I am coming for you. It was pretty hilarious, honestly. But, aside from that, I mean, working with everybody, it was just fun. But the dodgeball thing will always stand out. It was actually kind of fun doing something like that. So it was cool.
All right, I'm gonna start calling people. Chip.
Yeah, I was about to say, Gunner.
I was just going to say that,
no,
for me, that the fact that going there to the location first time, and then from that moment on, every time we would ask, it was like, sure. Need a backhoe? Sure. You need a grave? Sure. You need a truck? Sure. You need a generator? Sure. That was made my job really easy. I don't know about Andrew, but man, I was like, oh, okay.
But you gotta say too that like you got the grave dug by somebody who owned a backhoe, who also was equally willing to trade it for just a sandwich in payment.
That's true. And I got a coffin made, and I don't know. Actually, one of the things was driving to location with the coffin on top of the car, and I stopped at the rest area, and this guy looked at it and I said, yeah, it's my aunt, man. She didn't like where she was living. And he thought I was serious. And then when I was coming back, I had it on top and I stopped at Chick-fil-A, and the girl was kind of like pointing to a friend about the car. And I did the same thing. I was like, yeah, you know, my mom, and she's tired of living at the beach. I'm taking her back home. So that's probably one of the two funnest things, is driving around with a coffin on top of the car.
All right, Derek.
Oh, that's me. I think that to me, one of the most fun things to do, I guess one of my favorite memories of it, honestly, that's a really really hard one to answer and respond to and have a sort of pinpointed thing to talk about, because the whole experience, and that sounds super generic, I'm fully aware of it, the entire experience of working with these guys was really something special. The entire team, from Andrew Eagle to Andrew Bradford, Gunner, Chip, they're super professional, and working on the set was it was great. It didn't feel like just working on another indie. It felt special the entire time, and the guys put their heart and soul into it. You could feel it, and you wanted to put your heart and soul into it too, for the very same reason. And that to me is something special. And Gunner's laughing. I'm not lying. I like I said, I'm fully aware of how everything's special that sounds, and how whatever. No, I'm being genuinely honest, and I think that I had such a great time on set, and I was incredibly happy and honored to be a part of it.
Well, you can tell me your honest answer later. I'm just kidding. Mary Emily, how about you?
Well, I agree. It was I had fun the whole time I was there. But the most fun thing was probably getting to tackle Derek. That was fun. That was really fun. So, yeah, the hardest thing was flipping the coin. I'm glad y'all made that work, because I sure couldn't make my thumb work.
Yeah, the way you deliver the line, "I flipped a coin before," is funny by itself, but to the crew who was there, that is not so sure if you have, it's so much funnier.
Yeah, I still had not, I guess.
And I remember our first Zoom rehearsal together. I was like, all right, so for the tackle and all that stuff, we'll have we can get you a stunt person, like you won't have to do all the stuff. And you cut me off and said, oh no, I'm doing it. I was like, what? And it's like, I want to do this movie because I want to tackle people. I'm getting in the mud. I was like, okay, if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
You rocked it. It was so great. I remember even doing the rehearsal, I was like, you don't have to get in the grave yet. And you're like, yes, I do.
I've always liked playing in the mud and roughhousing with the boys. So yeah, it was fun for me.
Bradford, how about you, bud?
Man, I think that there's so many things that just come to my mind as far as this film, man. I think that obviously it's so special that we got the group of people that we got together. Every film is so unique in that, like, very rarely would it even be possible to get that same group of people together ever again in the same place. Even if you tried, you send out invitations and somebody is busy, somebody has something else happening, or it's just impossible to coordinate. So for us to just be able to get that group of people, and I think everything did come together like really last second, like even getting my camera team and us finding, all the G&E people that we needed to, getting all the gear that we needed to, like everything kind of just like came into place in this really special way that it was just, once we got on set, it was fun to just have this box for us to create. And I know obviously you and I have just done so many pizza films where it's it's hey, let's figure out how to make this happen, and we got a box of pizza to share after we're tired of filming and we're hungry and we can't go on anymore because it's been too long since we've eaten. So for us to be able to come together and like just do something with good people, that was really, really special, man. I think that like it was hard work. It was like we were all in the trenches, and I think that just working hard with people that are just willing to go the distance with you is something that is truly memorable. I mean, it's not easy to make any film, to make a film that, you know, has, you know, in the freaking cold weather, you know, we're all freezing. And, you know, it's definitely not a film that's written where everyone gets to wear warm clothes either. So it's like, we've got all of our talent cold, you know, it's a challenge. And then we're in the grave, we're doing stunts, we're doing 30 something setups a day, we're moving, we got to be super efficient with every process that we're going through. And I think that in and of itself, you know, just doing the hard work was so fun. It was so fun to be able to do it with excellence, to do it with people that cared. And like, you know, that in and of itself was like the memory that I take from. I think there's like plenty of things where like, you know, I just cherish just looking back at you and just like seeing you after a take and just being like, yep, that was it. That was the moment. And just, I don't know, like being able to make something the way that was envisioned was very special. Because I think so many times, like in film, there's like these happy accidents, or you kind of find a moment, and it felt like so much of this film was like, no, we executed what Gunner wanted to do. And that's really cool. Like, it's really cool to see something that you fully create come to fruition, and like above and beyond, like everyone just willing to go the distance for it, you know, through a long, hard night, through the cold, through lots and lots and lots of like very specific shots that we need to get. And I think that's a testament to how much people wanted to rally together to get behind you. And I think that in and of itself is what I kind of like take away from that. So I'm just grateful that, you know, we all got to do it. And like everyone came away smiling, everyone came away proud, everyone came away knowing that it was actually something to treasure.
Thank you for saying that, Bradford. I'm not going to cry on live television, but I appreciate it. Andy, have we heard from you, buddy? Oh, you got that Creep Show poster in the background. You repping?
Yeah, I sure do. No, I'll piggyback off of Bradford a little bit. Walking into set every morning was a bit of a surreal experience. Just seeing the team together, everybody's you know, working their asses off, which was just super cool to see. And everybody was in good spirits, and you could tell that everybody wanted to be there and everybody believed in the project. But as far as a favorite memory, there were, you know, a plethora, but going back to the library room that you and I would rent out, we did it 2 or 3 times, and it was just the two of us. I've got a few pictures, and it's a whiteboard, and we're breaking down the script and just sort of cracking jokes and yeah, just going through the process of it and sort of breaking it down. That meant a lot to me.
Same, dude. I that was one of my favorite parts too. It's just we would, I don't even know if we were really supposed to be in that room, but we'd be there all day, just there, and it was all these like crazy diagrams and everything. No, it was great. Eric, you got anything for me, buddy?
Oh yeah. I think easily my favorite part was working on the last bit. Gunner and I went back and forth over and over again about what happens when the ground opens up and swallows Tom. And I like, and this is what I mean when I say I love how much Gunner like pushes me to do more and be a better composer in general, is because I kept giving him stuff and Gunner was like, you're not getting what I'm saying. I want you to deliver me a cue that's so like batshit insane that I have to tell you, all right, like ease up, dude. Like that's not gonna work. And so working on that was probably my favorite part. I mean, scoring any film that Gunner does, geez, what the scoring any Gunner Willis picture is a absolute blast. But like this one just felt so special, and so much of his heart is in it. And like you know, I wish I had better stories like coming from set or anything like that, because granted, it's just kind of me and my instruments and my computer, and then like Gunner and like a little like picture in the corner. But yeah, just like between really nailing down that final cue of the film before the needle drop, and then just seeing the full thing come together tonight is just it's so magical. There's even stuff since the last cut that I saw that just got snuck in there at the end that I'm very grateful was done, because it's just an amazing experience. I need to constantly like hype up Gunner every hour of every day or I'll die, basically.
I'm never
It's
doing
your
this again,
gift,
you
your
guys.
curse.
I can't take all the. I don't know what to do to compliments, but I love you all. So my favorite thing. I didn't leave anyone out, right? Paul, you got anything?
No, that was it. No, I mean, I loved
Tom
everything
out.
about it.
Yeah.
Your turn.
Polly, just a little quick shout out to everyone watching. He's moderating this, but do not believe that he is not the MVP on this movie, because he did an unimaginable amount of work for this movie. His heart was in this movie just as much as mine and anyone else's. The best collaborator I could have dreamed of working with. Polly, I love you, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate just the crazy amount of effort you put into this movie, man.
Love you too. I love the movie.
Yeah, how does it feel just to be showered with compliments and you got to sit there?
Asheville, can you tell me I'm blushing?
But my favorite thing. So, like I said earlier, 3 days of filming. The first 2 days, every day was great. We had our ups and downs, but like Bradford said, every time we were shooting, even though there were challenges, there was never really a moment it felt like, oh, we're not making the movie we wanted to make anymore. So that was really great. But the first 2 days were really story heavy. Most of the film we shot in those 2 days. And there was a lot of stress that came with that. Like I said, I had a ton of fun, but there was also so much stress to it because we had to get everything done. And we didn't know if we could. But day 3 rolls around, and that's when the kids came on board. And we did all of the kids scenes at the beginning and the night scenes. And there wasn't as much to shoot. There was still a lot, but there wasn't as much story heavy lifting. It really was just a lot of the fun. We saved all the fun shots for the end. And you also always hear about, hey, don't work with kids just because you never know how hard they're going to work with. So I was nervous because I never worked with these kids before, and they get there and they're so excited. And just from the first time we shot, every single one of these kids are superstars. And I remember from their auditions, when we do a behind the scenes, I'll show you some of their auditions, but a lot of them changed the lighting in the audition to make it look scarier. You can tell they were so excited to play
Incredible.
something scary. And I had so much fun directing them. The best part of the day 3 was at night. We got them. I think it was the shot where they were holding Tom down, and Isaiah was choking him. And I'm sitting at the monitor, and about 40 feet behind me are a row of chairs, and it's all of the children's parents sitting there, and they're trying to get a view of the monitor. And I finally noticed them back there, and I said, "Hey, this is a really small movie. Do you want to see up close?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I showed them up close, and it was such a joy, they were all surrounding me, and I had to sit back, and they're all taking pictures of their kids on the monitor, oh, they look so spooky. And it was so fun. And you can just tell everyone there was just having so much fun, which made, I always want to make a good movie, but I think even more important than that is I really want to craft a sense of fun on set. As much as I want to be a Hollywood director, the only thing I really want to do is make videos with my friends. That kind of joy you had when you run around the camera in high school, whatever you wanted. it felt like that. And I hope that the kids felt that too, and they're able to go on and make movies and you know, want to continue that type of feeling, because it was an absolute joy seeing them having a blast. Because I don't know, like I wish I was not to, like, I'm not bragging about my movie, I'm just saying, like, I wish I was in a movie where I could play a bad guy when I was their age. Like, that sounds like so much fun. So yeah, that was probably my favorite memory, was just watching them have a blast. Yes, Bradford.
Just I think one more thing, just to talk to some of the special moments on this film too, is like, we obviously got behind on day 2 because we got rained out, but even just having Mary Emily and Derek both come in early day 3, because we were not able to shoot the end of the movie, and being able to finish that off, to like get all the extra stuff that we needed to before, like, just that was just such a cool thing too, just to show how invested everyone is. And I can't speak highly enough to you guys for being willing to just, like, man, buckle up. And you know, I think that was our longest day. We went like 13 hours. So I think that that's just such a, I can't say thank you enough. And I know that meant the world to Gunner as well. Just you guys being so willing to just overcome the shortcomings of our weather and all that stuff, to be able to make sure that this film came together and we got all the pieces that we needed. So that was huge. And I know it meant the world to both of us. So
Gunner, check the map. You are now a Hollywood director, dude. Hollywood, South Carolina.
Ooh, baby. I
I'm a
completely
Hollywood-
forgot. That's
Andrew, we're Hollywood producers, dude.
Oh man. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, we filmed, for those who were watching, I have no idea what we're talking about. The location that we filmed, which is in the middle of, like, nowhere. It's like maybe an hour from Charleston. So when we found the spot, we were like, okay, this is probably going to be fine. And then the closest hotel was like 30 minutes away. But the town that we filmed was named Hollywood, South Carolina. And I think that was like the thing that absolutely sealed the deal. The location was perfect. It was a little bit farther away, but as soon as we saw Hollywood, South Carolina, it was almost like, all right, this is the sign where it has to be here. Oh man, thank you for reminding me about that, Chip. That was a really great detail.
Well, this has been awesome, you guys. I'm going to kind of wrap it up. Anybody else have any final thoughts? The Wages of Sin. Of course, you can go back to wages.movie. That'll take you directly to the YouTube link with the film. Share it with your friends. Our big goal is just to get as many people to see this movie as possible. And and experience The Wages of Sin. Does anybody else have any final thoughts? Tom?
Yep. One thing, I really honestly think that Paul Rudd should not have been Sexiest Man of the Year. I'd like to nominate Derek Evans, our father, who looks absolutely hot with his shirt unbuttoned on date night. Camera angle is awesome. He's hot. I mean, he's a good-looking man. So I would like to retract my vote for Paul Rudd and give it to Derek Evans. So.
Listen, I can't thank you enough for this honor. It's an honor. It's truly wonderful to be voted Sexiest Man Alive by Tom Clark. And I'm going to put that on my resume.
Okay. Well, on that note, guys, thank you for, if you're watching this, thank you for joining us.
Thank
And,
you.
Yeah.
All of you.
Thank you.
Go watch
All of you. Thank
watch
you.
the film again, and yeah, let's keep making movies.
Awesome. Y'all be
Okay.
safe.
You too. Love
See
you
you,
guys.
everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Love y'all.
Happy
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.